Good evening. Um, so briefly, I just want to speak about um Scott Coker. Well, actually, yeah, Scott Coker. My focus is on the sport of MMA, mixed martial arts. Obviously, as we all know, UFC is dominant promotion. It's been for the last 15 years. It started in '93, so that's pretty much 30, 31 years, I believe. 31, 32 years. One of them anyway. So, all right. The fact is, I think around last year, um, the promotion considered the second best MMA promotion in the sport of MMA. Bellator was bought by the PFL, it was bought by the Arab owners of the PFL, Professional Fighters League, and at the time Scott Coker was president of Bellator. He'd been president since 2015, I believe, or 2014, one of those years. So yeah, since 2014, that's almost 10 years. He was in charge of Bellator, not as the owner, as the president. He was the Bellator president, and he took over Bjorn Rebney, and the Bellator for Bellator, first of all, Bellator started in 2009, and the way Bjorn Rebney was running it, it was more like a tournament, kind of promotion. Whereas Scott Coker decided, no, we're gonna, in order to kind of bring in new stars of the sport MMA, we're gonna like have these like sign these old washed up legends, Ken Shamrock, Race Gracie, Kimbo Slice, rest in peace, and who else? Stephen Bonner, rest in peace. TOTs. We're gonna have these freak show fights in order to kind of gain a casual audience in viewership, and that will kind of hopefully bring eyeballs to up and coming fighters in the promotion. And to be fair to him, he Scott Coker has done that with some fighters in Bellator, AJ McKee, um, who else? Aaron Pico, um, Patchy Mix. What? Well, he's kind of well, he's kind of brought in blue chip prospects and kind of helped them build their portfolio, and it's made those fighters in particular. I'm sure I'm missing other ones as well, but those fighters in particular, have been made known to the hardcore MMA fan base, but it hasn't translated to the casual audience, which is why they don't have their following hasn't increased that much. They've got at least 20 to 30,000 followers or 11k followers. Their following hasn't increased while still fighting for Bellator. Now it's underneath the PFL banner, the PFL banner. So yeah, the following hasn't increased. Um, if you look at Michael Chandler, for instance, Michael Chandler, he's now in the UFC. For a long time, he fought in Bellator. He was the champion at one point. Soon as he went to the UFC, his following went up. Now, obviously, he hasn't been victorious as of late, but more more casual fans know who he was because of the instant promotion, the marketing that the UFC gives him. So the point I'm trying to make, the point that I'm trying to get to in this video is to like discuss whether, put out my opinion, whether Scott Coker's time as the president of Bellator was it a success or not. Was it a success? Because he, understandably so, he's considered as the second greatest promoter behind Dana White. within the sport of MMA. That's what he's been considered as, with his experience with Strikeforce FC, his experience working at Dream in Japan, K1. So there has to be an honest assessment. Now, yes, we do give him his respect. He knows how to find prospects. He knows who to kind of. He has his talent ID is immense. Well, not immense, but it's top notch. His talent ID of knowing who's the next good fighter is top notch. Usman Nurmagomedov, another one, the cousin of Khabib. Forgot to mention him as well. Probably the best fighter in Bellator, and very soon, in 2 years' time at least, he's going to go to the UFC. It's just going to happen. But back to the point. Yeah, I think when I watch conversations online on the internet, when I see conversations, about Bellator, the number one complaint that you often hear is how the fighters have talent, but the issue is they're not well known. When I watch a pre-fight interview for Bellator, what often would happen in the comment section on YouTube, in the comment section, I often see the comment like on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I often see the comment, I didn't know this fight was happening. That tells me that the marketing for Bellator is, compared to the UFC, is way inferior. PFL, who just bought Bellator, are just as bad, if not worse. They're worse. And Scott Coker, mad respect for him, but you can make the case that Bellator was a lot better under Bourne Rebney in terms of building a following, in terms of having a straight tournament format, which is risky because there are injuries and stuff like that. I think Scott Coker did the same thing as well with his Grand Prix tournaments that he did at Strikeforce, Dream, and Bellator as well. I think they were very similar, and I think it was a bit more interesting. But in terms of like marketability, it didn't. There wasn't much improvement from the Bourne Rebney years. So with that being said, we have to kind of be honest and give I have to be honest and give a neutral view, which makes sense as to why I think that Scott Coker's time as president of Bellator was a failure. Because the Bellator brand didn't grow. But the Bellator was under Viacom, which is which has many other properties, Nickelodeon, CBS, etc. The fact that Viacom sold Bellator away to the PFL, or to the owners of PFL, which are an investment group from Saudi Arabia, I assume, or from around that area, from the Middle East. The fact that Bellator as a brand was sold, the MMA promotion was sold away from Viacom, that tells me that it wasn't bringing much profit. It wasn't bringing much profit. Personally, I think Scott Coker made the wrong move into putting Bellator, signing a TV deal with Showtime. Because the main thing is this, okay? casual audience is not going to be bothered paying behind the paywall, because Showtime Sports, yeah, you have to pay money for it. There's a paywall where you pay money. You pay a subscription to watch stuff, sports, movies, content. Yeah, the casual audience are already have the entertainment of the UFC, ONE FC. So why on earth are they going to pay money to watch Bellator? Why would they do that? Why? Why? If they're gonna pay money to go for Showtime, they're not gonna do it for Bellator when they've already got UFC available to watch on ESPN. They're probably gonna do it for boxing, or some TV shows. Scott Coker, for me that was a massive mistake for him to do that. Also, another thing as well, like, why didn't they just stay on CBS? Now, this is my ignorant showing here, because I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but being on CBS was a much better move than going on Showtime Sports. That I would say. That's part of the reason why I feel like his tenure as the president of Bellator FC was not that good, and I respect him. I respect him within the sport MMA. He is a legend. He helped find fighters Luke Rockhold, Daniel Cormier, Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate. Who else I'm missing? Gegard Mousasi. Many others. I'm missing some. I'm missing a few probably. But that's my opinion. Yeah, just put my opinion out here. I think he's a legend. Scott Coker is a legend. Right question. But his tenure as a Bellator president was a bit underwhelming. Quite underwhelming, in fact. Quite underwhelming. But my opinion. What do I know? Just a fan. Take care. God bless.